Welcome students to the Longwood Managed Apartment Registration information session. This information session is designed for students that are planning to participate in the Longwood Managed Apartment registration process to live in either the Landings, Lancer Park North or South, or Longwood Village. The Longwood Managed Apartment registration process will be conducted from February 9th to February 20th. The detailed timeline for housing registration is available on the Residential and Commuter Life website. All students planning to participate in this process must create a roommate PIN through the Student Housing Gateway. This must be done prior to the housing registration process. This is very important that all students do this. If you do not set up your roommate PIN, you're not going to be able to register for housing. Full occupancy is required to register for an apartment space. The only exception is the squatting process at Longwood Village. Longwood Village residents have received a specific email that has been sent to them to explain this process. All other apartment communities during the squatting process will require full occupancy. And all apartment communities after the squatting process will require full occupancy. This means that at Longwood Village, once the squatting process ends, when we get to the general selection day for seniors, juniors, and sophomores, full occupancy will be required at Longwood Village, at the Landings, at Lancer Park North and South in order to register for the space. Full occupancy means that all spaces in each apartment must be filled by continuing residential students in order to register. This means that everybody who's registering for the apartment must be somebody who's currently living in Longwood Managed Housing during the spring 2015 semester, so this current semester. Housing registration is conducted each day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the Student Housing Gateway. Students must use Internet Explorer or Firefox and enable pop-ups in the web browser to complete the registration. The link to the Student Housing Gateway has been emailed to students along with the housing registration information. The link is also available on the Residential and Commuter Life website. Each group will select a designated roommate who will register the group for an assignment. The designated roommate must have each student's LancerNet ID, RMS ID, and roommate PIN to complete the registration. What this means is we just need one person from your group to log into the computer. They will register themselves and pull in the other roommates during the registration process. Each student, once they set up their roommate PIN, will receive an automated email to them. That automated email will let them know what their LancerNet ID is, what their RMS ID is, and what their roommate PIN is. Each student needs to then give that information to the designated roommate so that they can pull them in during the registration process. Those students that do not have enough roommates to fill an apartment to full occupancy can submit the apartment waitlist form, and the RCO office will assign the student to a space at the end of the apartment registration process. If there are students that are looking for roommates, the RCO office will be conducting a mix and mingle at each of our housing information sessions that we're conducting. And also at the conclusion of those information sessions, this list will be kept in the Residential and Commuter Life office. Those students who are looking for roommates can add themselves to that list, and they can also come to the Residential and Commuter Life office to look to see if they can find somebody else who may want to be a part of their group during registration. Next, we're going to go through the detailed timeline and talk about each of the days of registration and explain the process. Those students who currently live in an apartment and would like to squat that apartment and return to that same apartment should participate in the squatting registration process. That process will occur February 9th, 10th, and 11th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the Student Housing Gateway. This process is designed for students that plan to return to the same studio, 2-bedroom, 4-bedroom, or Longwood Village 4-person apartment, and they must register during the designated registration dates. Please note, squatting your apartment means you're going to return to the same apartment. If you want to change your bedroom within that same apartment, you can do so. You will just be limited to registering for the same apartment that you currently are living in this semester. The designated roommate, it will be one of the individuals that is currently registered in that actual apartment unit. Meaning, if I live in Longwood Village, apartment 100B, and I am pulling in 3 roommates to live with me next year, I need to be the person logged into the computer system because I currently live in Longwood Village 100B, and then I can pull in the other roommates during the registration process. Like I said before, only Longwood Village residents are eligible to squat the apartment without full occupancy due to the double bedroom, but are encouraged to fill the apartment to full occupancy. Any open spaces within Longwood Village squatted apartment units will be assigned to other students by the RCL office. Only continuing residential students are eligible to live at Lancer Park North and South, Landings, and Longwood Village. Like I said before, in order to participate in this process, you need to be a student that's currently living in Longwood Managed Housing during the spring 2015 semester. Those students that squat and return to the same bedroom are eligible to participate in summer storage. Further information regarding summer storage will be sent to eligible students at the conclusion of the apartment registration process. The studio lottery. Any student that is interested in living in a studio apartment for the fall 2015, spring 2016 academic year that does not currently live in a studio apartment can submit a lottery application from February 9th to February 11th through the Student Housing Gateway. All lottery submissions must be received by February 11th at 4 p.m. Only continuing residential students with at least 56 completed credits are eligible to submit the lottery application. So only rising juniors and seniors are eligible for this process. Applicants will be notified regarding the lottery results by 12 noon on Thursday, February 12th. The next day of the registration process is senior apartment registration. Students that have 89 or more credits can register on February 16th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the Student Housing Gateway. The designated roommate must have earned at least 89 credits at the conclusion of the spring 2015 semester in order to assign themselves and other residents within the selected apartment unit. Full occupancy is required at Lancer Park North and South, the Landings, and Longwood Village to register for the apartment unit. Only continuing residential students are eligible to live at Lancer Park North and South, and Longwood Village. And they must fill the apartment to full occupancy to register for the unit. The next day of the registration process will be junior apartment registration. Students will register February 17th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the Student Housing Gateway. The designated roommate must have earned at least 56 credits at the conclusion of the spring 2015 semester in order to assign themselves and other residents within the apartment unit. Full occupancy is required at Lancer Park North and South, the Landings, and Longwood Village to register for the apartment unit. Only continuing residential students are eligible to live at Lancer Park North and South, and Longwood Village, and they must fill the apartment to full occupancy to register for the unit. The next day will be sophomore apartment registration. Students will register on February 18th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the Student Housing Gateway. The designated roommate must have earned at least 25 credits at the conclusion of the spring 2015 semester in order to assign themselves and other residents within the apartment unit. Full occupancy is required in Lancer Park North and South, the Landings, and Longwood Village to register for the apartment unit. Only continuing residential students are eligible to live at Lancer Park North and South, and Longwood Village, and must fill the apartment to full occupancy to register for the unit. The last day of the apartment registration process will be our apartment wait list. Any continuing residential student that was unable to register for an apartment space is eligible to submit a waitlist application. The waitlist application will be available in the Student Housing Gateway on February 20th. The waitlist application will remain available for 2 weeks. When additional spaces become available, RCO will contact applicants. Application will be ranked ordered by earned credit hours. This is not ranked ordered by time, and when you submit the apartment waitlist, it will be ranked ordered by your earned credit hours. Some helpful reminders. The C-bedroom at Longwood Village will remain double occupancy. The housing rates for next year are published on the RCO website. Students should discuss these rates with their family or financial provider prior to housing registration. All students that register for housing are signing a legally binding agreement. All students are encouraged to review the published housing terms and conditions, which can be found on the RCO website. Students can access the Student Housing Gateway through the RCO website or directly at the link provided below. This link has also been emailed to students with the included housing information. It's important that students have a backup plan. What will your group do if your first choice is no longer available when you register? That is important to discuss with your group so you know what the next community would be that you would register for. Make sure that you enable pop-ups in your web browser and use Firefox or Internet Explorer. The total number of apartment units that remain after each registration date will be posted on the RCO website. This will get posted after 5 p.m. The evening before the next registration process. Make sure the designated roommate has each student's roommate PIN, Lancernet ID, and RMS ID number. It's also recommended that you get the meal plan choice from each of the people that you're registering, because you will be registering for them for a meal plan as well. Next, what I'm going to do is walk you through what the Student Housing Gateway